Ah!
We need tech support, Paul.
Yeah, I guess we're just having a heck of a time today with. I love it when a software company changes their software and doesn't let you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Give us 24-hour notice. We can. Forgive us, everyone who's tuning in this morning. We had a late start because of some technical issues, but I think we got them figured out, right, Paul?
I'm not so sure. I'm having screen flashes and I don't even know if I'm showing up on this, so it's kind of crazy.
You're looking good, and I'm loving the backdrop. Before we get started today, please share about the backdrop. Give me the story behind the backdrop.
Yeah, that backdrop. We just got back from a trip to Portugal, and that backdrop is the Castle of Sintra. I don't know if you've ever watched Game of Thrones, but it was filmed in Portugal, and we bounced around all the castles for the past couple weeks and saw all the sights. And I highly recommend going to Portugal for sure.
I am so envious of that trip. And the one thing that stood out to me when you got back, when we got to kind of catch up a little bit, was the attitude of the people in the community. You didn't go into the touristy area. You went into, the real true culture of it. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I know, but probably most people don't know that I'm half Portuguese. And so it was, we had rented a villa up in the Oaks up in southern Portugal and spent a lot of time in culture as opposed to all the tourist spots, and got my Portuguese going a little bit. It sucked. I speak it like a baby. And I was pretty bad, but they're just the nicest people. We have so many amazing stories coming from this trip, and we're probably going to go back in July just because I think I'm going to start engaging with some relatives out there. It was really amazing.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. So glad to hear that. Glad that you and your wife got to get away. Well, Paul, I want to introduce this almost like an infomercial. Would that be okay? Okay. So,
well, I suppose.
Okay. So, Paul, imagine a relationship with someone who has no other agenda but your personal growth and business success. Paul, imagine a relationship with someone who is more committed to what you want in life than maybe what even you are committed. Imagine, Paul, a relationship with someone insatiably curious about who you are and who you intend to be. Paul, just imagine someone listening rather than just hearing, someone listening to understand instead of listening to respond. That's what we want to talk about today. Coaching or mentoring or both. Do I need a coach? Do I need a mentor? And what I've just described is my view on a coaching relationship. When somebody asks me about coaching, it's a relationship. It's a relationship basically where you're asking exploratory questions and you're believing that the answer is within them, and you're almost fishing out these answers out of them by just asking questions. What are you thinking about coaching? How would you define coaching?
Wow. Well, from the standpoint of being a coach in a lot of different areas, football, downhill racing, business, coaching to me is helping someone identify their talents and helping them define how to maximize those talents to accomplish what they want. And also finding their deficits and helping them shore them up or work around them. And that goes from, that is exactly what a coach is there to do, is maximize or optimize your talents and help to shore up your deficits.
I love that because like a person on the outside who's trained in the area, and of course today with everybody's a life coach. It seems like, at least in our space, when people claim that they're a life coach, because it's not governed like other things where you have to have this, these credentials or whatever, and pass this bar exam or whatever. So anybody can claim to be a coach. I think truly, like you said, identifying what are their strengths, where are the areas that they can improve in, what do they want to do, where do they want to go. It's a whole lot different. I've had one person say, well, is this like a therapy session? And no, a coach is not a therapist. Sometimes we a coach is always thinking about the future, is the way I look at it. A coach is looking at from here where you are, where do you want to go? And a therapist looks at here's where you are from the past, how did you get here? And so it seems like there's sometimes where I'll have somebody come to me and they make more progress with a coach than they do with a therapist. And this is not a knock against therapy. I'm not against that at all, because sometimes that's to understand where you're at. But I'm just saying that like a coach is forward thinking, where a therapist might be in the reverse. You have to identify, how did you get to this place? But how do you move forward is, when I look at coaching, it's progression. We cannot get stuck because you can't change the past.
So I'm gonna come in a little bit on the opposite side of that with
Please
you, because
do.
I want I kind of shriek when somebody says, "Oh, coaching isn't therapy," and the thing is you got to get out of like clinical therapy. It's not clinical therapy. I absolutely 100% agree. You need a mental professional to do that, but coaching in itself is a therapeutic event. It is understanding.
Good. It's not therapy, but it is therapeutic.
Correct. Because I mean, what's the definition of therapy, Tracy? It is to repair or fix or feel better about what you're doing or who you are, right? From the most basic idea. And so it is therapeutic when you have a breakthrough in business and you start flying forward because you've overcome some obstacle, whether you're producing the obstacle or the obstacle's out in the ether. You've overcome it and you're moving forward. That's therapeutic in nature. So no, we're not, mental therapists, but we are, whether you're coaching an 8th grade football team or a ski team and you're helping one of the athletes break through a mental block that's burning their performance, that's therapy. Yeah. So it's part of the coaching, is part of the methodology of coaching, is to identify weak points and build them up. That's therapy. So, but it's not clinical therapy. We're not trying to, help people through real mental deficits, right? Yeah. It's more of mind blocks or self-limiting beliefs and that type of stuff, which by definition is therapy. So I'm going to argue.
I'm not really taking it as an argument. I think it's a clearer definition. I think we just dove deeper into it, and I think I love the idea that coaching is not therapy, because I agree, clinical therapy, but it is therapeutic, because it does assist in those areas, because I've overcome a lot of limiting beliefs. But as in the area of, are we taking on clinical depression? Are we taking on bipolar? I mean, these kind of syndromes,
not qualified.
Not at all. Moving on. I'd love to help you. And the best way I can help you is I know a guy I know a lady who can help you with this. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, so here's the thought. So do I need a coach or a mentor is the title. And I just thought it might be good to just to clarify, what coaching, as we're talking about what it is not, also what a mentor is, and then what is, a lot of people are in the training or the consultant space. And the way I view it is, I look at training, you're sharing information. You're passing on information. A consultant is you're sharing information, or training is sharing the information. Whereas a mentor may be sharing your experiences, the things that you've done. John Maxwell has a quote. He says that a mentor is one who knows the way, goes the way, can show you the way. So in some regard, by their experiences, they become a specialist in an area that might be able to serve you. maybe in life experiences. How do you view the difference between a consultant and a mentorship before we kind of explore if somebody needs one? What are your views on that?
You mean a coach and a mentorship, right? Not a consultant. That's a different game.
Well, I was thinking like when somebody looks at a mentor, like we do a lot of coaching and mentoring. And as we've already talked about, coaching is not therapy, but it is therapeutic. And it's basically asking those powerful questions to yield the answer that somebody's evading, you're influencing. Whereas a mentor is a specialist of some degree, and so is a consultant. But I look at the two as one's just sharing information. And
well, I'm gonna place the difference here really solidly because there is a big difference. And I'll say this. Let's say, you coach and you mentor when you can, right? As an individual. And here's the difference. I'm going to go to NFL here. Most of the coaches in the NFL have never played in the NFL. Okay. They study the game. They study the other teams. They study the competition. They study the physicality. And they take those studies and they apply them to do exactly what we're talking about, which is maximize or optimize the performance of the player, maximize the cohesiveness of the team, and to shore up any deficits that they can find. Now, I am an NFL quarterback, and my coach calls Aaron Rodgers to come in and mentor me because he is the best in the game at the time. I'm not making any claims there. And he comes in.
And no love for Green Bay.
Yeah, I don't even know why his name came up. But regardless, they call Aaron Rodgers in to come in and work with me and start working on everything because he has been there. He has done that, and he can show me the way because he has walked the way.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between coaching and mentoring. Mentoring means you've been there, you've done that, and you know the pitfalls, you know the right way to go, and you're carrying someone else through based on your experience, not on your hypothetical studies.
Excellent. I love the analogy of coming into the NFL, or it could be baseball, it could be any different where there's a coach, basketball, whatever it is. Somebody who hasn't played the game in a long time but still can offer the mentorship. Someone who's like I coach companies that I've never been a part of that industry, and I can still serve them at a very, very high level, asking questions that maybe they don't know to ask. I've never been an attorney, and yet I can coach attorneys and asking questions that I'm curious about that they said, we never thought about that because they're in their space. And so giving that different perspective oftentimes gives greater, another layer to the onion, as it were. So who needs coaching?
Well, I think any player who wants to be the best in the game needs coaching. Surgeons shouldn't operate on themselves. Lawyers shouldn't defend themselves in court. And how can you see your own deficits? It's like trying to watch your own golf swing. It's like you need someone else to be looking at you and see what you're doing from the back, so they can see all the good stuff and all the bad stuff that you're doing. So you do this in a couple of ways. You can hire a coach, absolutely, one who has studied the game, right?
Yep.
And really does know how to identify both your strengths and your weaknesses and help you think about ways to shore them up and improve your performance. You can hire a coach who's a mentor or a mentor who has been in your industry, has done what you've done, has built a company exactly like you're building, and can help you along the way, or is running a company that you did. You can get into a group of people that support each other in their journeys, and start talking with them and sharing what's working and what's not working across the group. Some people call this a mastermind. Right. there's lots of ways. Ultimately, whatever you're doing, I don't care if you're shooting skeet, playing basketball. If you want to get better at the game or in business, if you want to get better at the game, you need to have a coach to help you get the performance that you're looking for out of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So when I hear, like your first thought of, who needs a coach? Well, somebody who wants to improve, somebody who wants to be better, somebody who wants to be the best. They need a coach. And it implies that somewhere they've arrived, but now they're stuck there. And when I think about coaching is who needs coaching? Anyone who ever gets stuck. I mean, if you're stuck and you need traction, you need to move forward, you need a coach.
Ultimately, you have to think about the human mind and the way it works. You may have, I have so many clients. They all know what I know. There isn't any difference in our knowledge base. It's what you're thinking about at the time that you need to be thinking about it. That's the difference. It is reminding them of what they need to do because they're in a different mindset or looking in a different direction. The mind can only handle so much information at one time, and it is bringing them to the perspective to see what they need to see to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, do you have a coach?
Yeah, of course. I've got a mentor actually. So,
and I as well. Do you think
he's been my mentor for 25 years? It's the same person.
Wow. And so the difference. So if the question that we're offering our audience today is, do I need a coach or a mentor? I have both. I have, coaches. Maybe I want to be a better speaker, and someone who's studied speaking, like Pat Quinn or something like that, can serve me as a coach because, but he also can serve as a mentor because he's done it before. He studies speaking. He's done it, but he's also done it before. So I'm thinking, like, in some regards, is there this crossover of coaching and mentoring where, maybe it's not that I need one or the other. It's not an either or question. It's a yes and.
It's a both. I mean, it's a both. I mean, think about it. I always talk about levels of incompetency. You're incompetent until you become competent, or as we used to say in the military, there's only two ways to be. You're either trained or you're untrained. Which one is it? Right. But even if, let's say you're sliding out and you're going into retirement, you need to find a coach to help you figure out how you want to retire. You've never done it before. You want people or a mentor to help you make the right decisions, sliding into identifying what you really want in retirement, where you really want to live. It's all stages of life. So, and a lot of us get it through friends who are in like situations or have been in like situations. We get coaching every day, whether we know it or not. Right? If we're listening, we're getting it.
Yeah.
And but if you're looking to specifically increase performance on a particular part of your life, then someone who is an expert and has the sight to see your talents and your deficits and help you overcome them, then it's worth paying for because it gets you there 1,000 times faster.
I have never regretted any of the money I spent in, and not all the coaches were great, but they all added some value to me. And I've never regretted any of the money I've spent in coaching or mentoring. Never, because it's helped me to become better, faster. I've got there faster than even my mentor. How long it took him to get there, I've done it in half the time because I had somebody who knew the way, like you said, the pitfalls, had studied it before. And all I had to do is follow the clear outline of the map. But how, I was thinking back just when you were saying that, how did I find my coach? How does one in today's world where there's so many life coaches, business coaches, advisors, things like that, this is a tough one. Somebody's watching this, they're like, man, I know I need a coach, because either I'm stuck or I want to take it to the next level. I want to perform better. I know that I can do this. I'm meant to do this. How do I locate one? How do I find a coach amidst all of the charlatans that might be out there?
The charlatans. Wow, I haven't heard that word in a while.
It's a 50-cent word I just threw up.
That's the snake oil salesman, right? All right. That's difficult. Honestly, there's so many out there, and it's difficult. I like to, if I'm going to go get a coach, there's a couple of things I want out of that coach. I want them to be able to speak directly. I can tell a coach who's going to be absolutely not useful when they are they do the turnaround conversation. Well, how's that make you feel? How's that? It's like a therapy session. What do you think? That's not what I look for in a coach. What I look for coaches that I plan a plan down in front of them, and they go, "Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about this?" And get me thinking around the problem, as opposed to the touchy feely, stuff. I also look for somebody who has experience in my industry, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I want a quasi mentor coach. I don't want someone who's never done what I've done, or I can tell immediately that they don't even have the depth of study to really coach me. So when in my early career, I hired and fired a few coaches right out of the gate. Yeah. I mean, first session, I knew we're done. You're not going to challenge me. You're not going to expand my thinking. You are going to just kind of ride along with wherever I'm going. That's useless to me. I need somebody who's going to look at my performance out on the field and go, "Ruthier, you suck. Here's why you suck. And here's what you can do to fix it." So they got to be stronger than I am.
Yeah. So by their experience, their direct speaking, their strength, and in the industry that you're in. One thing that I was thinking about there, you said them both there, is, well, you didn't say this, but you alluded to it. Like when you're looking for a coach, how do you find a coach? Well, you first got to consider the outcome. What are you looking to achieve in having a coach? And that will lead you to this industry. Like, well, I want to grow in this area. Okay, well, who's in that area that's getting those wins that can, help mentor you or coach you in that area? If it's leadership, it could be, like John Maxwell wanted to learn more about leadership, and he found John Wooden. Well, John Maxwell wasn't looking to play basketball. He was, so he was looking to have leadership skills, and he went to John Wooden, who wrote a book on the pyramid of leadership and so forth, and that greatly enhanced his leadership abilities, gave him some things to think about, and he had the credibility. So finding a coach, from what I'm understanding then, is looking for the outcomes, and then engaging in that. What I've done with some is just a 30-minute set. Hey, let's just roll together for 30 minutes. And if it had value to you and we want to go forward, let's do that, because I want to give them the space to understand, if I'm not the voice that they can hear, that they can respond to, just like you said, I'm okay with that. Because I may not be like you said, I want to know, you'll know. And how long did it take you for you to know in the first 15 minutes, 10 minutes, that guy was not going to, or that lady was not going to be able to push you in the area you needed to be pushed when you're doing like this tryout?
Yeah, 10 minutes to figure out whether it's the right person or not. It's kind of that simple. And to your point, I'm glad you said outcomes before I did. The fact of the matter is, some people, they have great ideas and they know how to do stuff, but they need motivation. They need someone to rah them through the next thing. They need inspiration. Some people are inspired depending on the company, and they need to know the know-how. They may know how, but they've never done it before, so they're unsure of the direction that they're taking, and they need the mentor to help them through that. right? That's not a coaching. That's a technical, scenario that you're running. So it really, again, outcomes is really, really important. You need to, before you even go out and select a coach, you need to figure out what you want out of a coaching relationship, or what you want out of a mentoring relationship. What's your plan as it sits? Do you have a plan? Don't hire a coach if you don't have a plan. Get a plan, then hire a coach. Where do I want to be? Figure it out. Figure out what you want to do. And some people need a coach for that, by the way.
Yes. I was just thinking, I mean, like,
Right.
I've done our first session. Hey, what do you expect to get from this relationship of this coaching?
Yeah.
It's like, it's more of a powerful question on that first for some people than what I gave it credit for. I mean, like, I would assume, just like you said, I have a plan. I need this coach to help me get there. Some of them just say, I just know I need a coach because I'm stuck and I don't even know what I want to do. And so you're like, okay, so what do you, so you're going to this purpose for their life, this, what are they passionate about? What do they enjoy doing? No one has to wake them up to do it. No one has to prime them up or pump them up to do it or reward them for doing it. They just do it. Like, what is those things? And then, what is the big problem they want to solve in the world and who do they want to solve it for? Those kinds of things that we've talked about in other episodes, those two ideas, if it's business that they're wanting to go in. I do a lot of, I'm glad you brought up the word motivation, because I think for me and on my side of the coin, where I shine most is on that mindset when they come in and they're just like, they're stuck. It's a mental blockage, and figuring out what that is, on that motivation that they can do anything. They just can't do everything. That kind of idea, because they're not delegating, and sometimes it's a process or whatever that it is. But I find myself taking on a lot more clients like that and getting them going to where but that may be short-lived, where they need somebody like you to take them to the other steps of and that's okay with me. As far as like a 3 month, a 6 month, and it gets them going, and now they need somebody else to take them another way. And I'm okay with that, that I don't get to ride along, because I understand my gifts and abilities presently help them get to this far. Do you think most coaches are that way?
I love this conversation because it really kind of boils down to the bottom of it, right? Somebody once said to me, you have a friend for life, or you have a friend for like a time, something in a life.
Season.
Anyway, the point is, season, a reason, a season, or a life. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew we could get that out together.
Two minds.
The point is it's the same for a coach, right? It's kind of, you have a coach for a reason, for a season, and then you have some life coaches out there, right? So it's really what you want to accomplish at that particular point. It's like going up a set of stairs. You have to step on one before you step on the next one. And sometimes you need to put these platforms, and the best coaches out there, honestly, focus on one area of that. The coaches that are out there that try to do everybody and they have limited experience in certain areas, it's like, are you going to a general practitioner or are you going to a specialty? Right. And I have one client right now who's in the middle of a merger and acquisition. Right. And I've been through a few of them. And the point is, they're buying a business. I've been there. I've done that. I'm carrying them through. Hired me very specifically for that set of expertise on doing due diligence in a merger and acquisition. So I'm the right guy. And as soon as that M&A is done, he's gone. I know it. And he should be. Because, until we get to the other side, there's some other things that I could do for him later on. But the fact of the matter is, he's hiring me for a very specific reason. I'm helping him through it, and we're almost finished. And he's got all his ducks in a row, and he knows the value of the company that he's purchasing, and they're off and running with the lawyers at this point. So very specific reason. We knew it would take 6 months. Been with me for just about 6 months, and we're almost through it. Very, 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 very specific reason for this type of coaching and mentoring, right? So you should have a specific reason. Do you need motivation. Do you have a great idea? Are you running a business? Are you struggling to get somewhere? Pick the right coach that's going to be very specific in that area. Well, there's a lot of coaches that focus very specifically on marketing and sales because they do that. And small companies, a lot of times it's the entrepreneur doing all the work, or they need to hire out, and they have the right coach to help them make those decisions and kill it. So yeah, you really want to delve into like the expertise of the coach. I think is really important. I don't believe that a coach can coach everything.
No. Well, when you brought up a great illustration of the merger and acquisition, I'm not sure that I can spell acquisition. I am not that guy. I'm not the guy. I would be the guy that, like, hey, I coach the person and he explore and we find out what the problem is and so forth. I would be the guy that came in before you possibly, or even after you, and just come in and just say, okay, so, like, hey, life is rough for you right now. What's getting in the way? Well, I have this and this and this. And then I'd lead him to, like, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to merge. I need to acquire, whatever it is. Great. I know a guy that can help you with that. Like, I would know. I have outlived. I mean, like, my guaranteed freshness date is about to expire. I am not going to be able to take it that far, but I know a guy. His name is Paul Routhier, and he can help you with that. So he gets done with the merger and the acquisition, and now he's like, okay, like, what next? And Paul says, well, there's a lot of things that you could do, but I know a guy named Tracy that can help you with, like, like you're just, because it's that mental thing. Like, what am I going to do next now that I've merged with this company, or now that I've acquired this other business, whatever, what am I going to do next? How am I going to connect with my family? I'm humble enough to know I can't do it all. And if a coach, like you said, my father says they are a mile wide and an inch deep.
Yeah.
The general practitioner.
So that's a great statement. You have to look for depth in the area that you're looking to, in the area that your outcomes are targeted towards.
Yeah.
You need to sit down you have to sit down and go, what do I want out of this? And that will help you really set some criterion to choose your coach out of the 150 million coaches that are out there, and the coaches companies. What are they ultimately going to help you do that you need?
Yeah. Right? So what I'm hearing from this that would really serve to answer this question, do I need a coach or a mentor? Well, first, understanding what a coach is, what they're not, what a mentor is, what they're not, and then relating them to, here's a trainer, here's basically an information, they just pass out information. They're a trainer. So we understand the difference between, okay, now that I define the terms, how do I interview for one of these? Well, come with a plan. What's the plan? What's the outcome you hope to get from that? That way you're going to be asking the right questions on that. And then when you're sitting in there on that, maybe it's a 30-minute trial just to see if you guys are a good, pair together. Listen for those questions. Have you thought about, does that coach offer you a higher level of thinking that elevates your thinking and gets you expanding your mind to where you're thinking differently than you were before that? That's going to be really beneficial.
Yeah. And there's one big question that you can ask any coach that you're interviewing is, what is your coaching process? And if that coaching process doesn't align with your learning process, then you need to figure that out. They may not be the right, and the communication styles are definitely key. Those are the two keys to a good coaching relationship. Is understanding those and making sure they align with who you are.
We have both been in those calls or in that room with those people that are coaches, but man, they are blistering, and they would not be the right voice for me. I don't need somebody, don't be a little bee. I don't. That's not what I need. I don't want. That's not honoring to me. Now, some people, they need the 2x4 upside the head. I want reason. I want logic. I want the expertise. I don't need somebody kicking me around. That's not what I need, because that's just not. Now, other people, maybe they respond well to that. I don't respond well to that. I will hang up that call and drop that coach like a bad habit, because that's just not honoring to the client.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Okay.
So, big takeaways today.
Big takeaway today for me. Let's see. You mentioned the biggest takeaway: coaching is not therapy, but it is therapeutic. That was a great statement. I love that statement. That's I want to, as my mentor says, I want to noodle on that one. Big takeaway for you, Paul?
I think that the biggest takeaway for me is to set down some criterion for your decision. If you're going to go for a coach, if you want to improve something, coaching is fabulous. Figure out, what your learning process is and how you want to be approached, and then go find yourself a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent. Love it. Very good. Well, guys, make sure that you comment on it. We'd love to hear your comments, feedback. And by the way, did we go deep enough on this subject? If we need to go deeper, or we need to talk about one thing in particular that you would like to hear from us, let us know in the comments. That way we can bring out that at our next appointed time and make that a topic.
All right.
All right,
we will see you next Thursday.
I look forward to it.
Adios.